Hi, Steve here. Today I'm going to do a video on the one-man recon tent that was actually featured in my first stealth camping video. It's in the flecktarn pattern. Now there's been a bit of chat about what is the best pattern of tent for a woodland setting. So what I thought I'd do is demonstrate why I kind of used the flecktarn pattern as opposed to, say, the woodland camo pattern. I'm going to show the tent today that's actually behind me in some different woodland settings here in the UK woodland. What you'll see is it in from kind of brown scrub through to thick foliage green. What you'll see as well is obviously a tent, by the very nature of the material it's made from, is going to have shine. So obviously one of the first ways to conceal something is to take a shine off it. The other thing is the shape of a tent. Obviously the shape of a tent in a woodland setting is very artificial, so it stands out. So what we're going to look at as well is a simple way to break up the pattern very quickly and very easy, so you can set up a stealth campsite, as it were, very quickly and with ease. I think the tent and the flecktarn pattern is a great basis to start with, but by adding some different types of concealment techniques will make the tent disappear into the environment.
With most tents, doesn't matter what pattern it is, if you get a sheen off the material, it's going to show up in a woodland setting. Also, the shape compared to natural shapes in the woodland, the silhouette is really going to make it stand out as well. However, the good thing I like about this tent is it's a good platform to start with. It's got a nice flecktarn pattern, which I'll show you in the different scenarios. It's low as well, so although we're talking about silhouettes, it's a low silhouette. It's not going to stand out too much, but we'll look at how to conceal it better and how to place it better in settings. Okay, we'll get started.
As you'll see from this angle, the tent blends in quite nicely just as it is. Obviously it's not very particularly concealed. I just put it in the middle of a bit of green kind of foliage, but you can see there how the flecktarn, actually what happens is in the foreground you get all the greenery that actually draws your eye, and the trees draw your eye, but there's obviously a lot of browns in the woodland setting as well, and I think that's where the flecktarn kind of comes into its own a bit, because it blends more into the forest ground as opposed to the actual foliage. So what you're doing there is you're actually using the negative pattern within the woodland, where your eyes are drawn naturally to the greenness and the trees. The flecktarn blends in to the negative kind of brown setting, as it were, as well. So, but obviously that's just the tent dropped in place there to give you a quick demonstration of this. So anyhow, now we start looking at the kind of the campsite, as it were. This is actually a spot that we've camped at before. The reason why we particularly like this spot is, first and foremost, the ground's nice and flat. In fact, it's a bit mossy here, so it's quite nice and soft underfoot. The other thing is, when you're setting up a campsite for the first time, don't forget to look up, because what you don't want is branches falling on you. So it's what we call widow makers. You don't want any large branches snapping or anything like that in the middle of the night and coming down on you. So check on that. The other thing is, you've got a nice bit of canopy here, which is actually going to help with the rain as well, keep the rain off the tent. Now, and the other thing with this spot here is it's quite hard to see the tent from the other direction. You can see there's the fallen tree there in the background. It's actually fallen but still live, so it's still got some greenery on it. So and from this angle you've actually got a fantastic view over the top here, and down in the valley there is a natural deer trail. But the good thing is, here is just where the tent is, you can see there's the backdrop behind it as well, so you haven't got the silhouette of the tent standing out against the skyline. It's blended in. This tent, incidentally, is good as a shooting hide as well. You can simply lie in the tent and shoot from it. I've actually got it the other way around here, but I'm going to spin the tent round so that the door's facing this way. But this is a particularly nice spot. You'll see that, I don't know if you can see it, but there's actually a guide rope there for if it's raining hard or anything. We left a guide rope up, and you can put the tarp straight over it as well, so you can have the tarp over the top of the tent. So, as you've probably seen from the photos I've just taken, this site here is pretty concealed from every direction. In fact, really where the video camera person is now, it's a steep drop. So in reality, you'd only come across the tent where it is at the moment if you walked up the bank to see it. So it's pretty much out of sight from about 10 yards away. However, let's look at how we can conceal it. Well, you can see I've put some sticks in the ground very quickly around it. The next thing is to use a camo net to break up the shape, break up the pattern, the straight lines of the tent, but also to take the shine away. Now, camo netting, you can get obviously you can get military style camo netting. Problems I find with that is it's very bulky. And also, if it rains, the netting soaks up the water, so it can get even more bulky and it can get a lot heavier. But I've come across another netting. You probably recognise one of these bags. They're pretty popular. It's the 511 Rush 72 bag. And what I've got in here is actually a concealment netting that's used more for hunting than what it is for kind of stealth camping, but I thought let's try it today and let's see how it looks once it's covered the tent. So I'm going to put the net in over the tent, but also to break up the pattern of the shape of the tent, I've put a couple of sticks around it which will push the netting out as well. But just to give you an idea of how much netting is in this side pack, including my night vision at the bottom, I'll pull it out. So you can see there, you can pack a lot of this netting into a very small space. It's very lightweight as well. So this is the netting that I love. It's actually a Vantage Timber realtree pattern on it, but it's got the 3D leaf texture as well. So let's get this over the tent and see how it looks. I've covered the tent in the camo netting, so it now blends into the negative pattern of the area. You can see there's lots of leaves about on the ground. Still lots of green leaves in the trees. It's not autumn just yet. It's towards the end of summer, but you can see there, and the shape of the tent almost kind of carries on the shape of the land, but you can see all the shine's gone out of it, and the pattern blends itself perfectly into the environment. So at the moment I'm about probably about 7 or 8 metres away from the tent. So as we come up the bank here, I'll get more of a flavour for how well concealed the tent is. So all I've done is draped the camo netting over the tent, put a couple of branches in, try to make the branches follow the same direction as those that are already here, but again, actually what they do is take the eye subconsciously away from the background and draw your eye to the foreground. But you can see it's pretty effective. Takes all the shine out of the tent. Put a couple of leaves on, not many, you can see just dotted about off the ground, but you can see the leaves are actually blended into the camo netting so perfectly. It just demonstrates how good this netting is. It's not expensive netting either. It's used for hide shooting. So I think this at 3 metres long by 1.5 metres wide was actually only about £20. So, but the effect that it has is spot on. Obviously, by having a camo netting like this as well, if you need to conceal yourself quickly, you can literally, doesn't matter what clothes you're wearing, well, within reason, it's going to help you disappear pretty quick, so, and help blend into the negative areas of the background that you're looking at. So I really recommend this as a good netting. So from this angle, do you notice the bag, the rucksack, or the tent? You can see the rucksack is the bit that really kind of stands out here.
This netting really does have a strong impact on how easy it is to make this tent disappear. You can see that the dark colours of the tent itself do help through the pattern, but the pattern, the fact it's a 3D pattern, leaf effect, really does help it blend into its background. Obviously, you know, if you spent time building up leaves and other brush on top of this without overdoing it, you could make a tent disappear, but by simply throwing over this, you're essentially making your tent almost invisible in a matter of a minute. This whole setup, once you've got a campsite, from actually erecting the tent and throwing a quick net over it, is probably 3 or 4 minutes. So it's a very easy self-camp to set up, very quick and easy, and you can see it's very effective. Just to demonstrate as well how much space the tent takes up. This, like I mentioned earlier, is a 511 Rush 72 pack. So within this, I put the tent in the middle in the main compartment. You can see it fits perfectly. But what else I can fit just in this main compartment here? I've got my sleeping system. I've actually got a 750 down sleeping bag in there, and also a silk liner for it, and also a cotton reflective sheet, or it might be nylon reflective sheet. So a really good sleeping system that. If I'm still cold, dual action, I've actually got a Summit jacket here with Primaloft filling, so you can sleep in that, soft enough to feel nice against your skin. Obviously it's designed for when you reach the summit of a mountain to keep you warm, so you can always wear that in the sleeping system as well. So just tuck that in there. I've also got a tar, a 3-metre tar, so fits in there. You can see it matches the flecktarn pattern. So if it rains particularly hard, or it's raining when you want to set up camp, get this up first and then put the tent up underneath it. And then here I've also got my sleeping mat as well. So obviously I think the sleeping mat is more important for keeping you warm than what an actual sleeping bag is. You can sleep in your clothes on one of these, as long as it keeps you off the ground, it's going to keep you warmer. But obviously with this whole system, should be pretty snug in there all year round. So all fits within there, and I can also fit first aid kit in this compartment as well. So it's all self-contained within this Rush 72 pack. Alright, hope you enjoyed.